display. There we go. Perfect. I don't know how loud the browser's gonna be.
Hello everyone, I was Lynx Kameli.
Did you really delete his character though? Like, come on, there's no way. Anyway, so is it too loud? Are we good?
Hello everyone, I was Lynx Kameli.
Dude, that is so
For the
sad.
first time in recorded history, Final Fantasy XIV is currently going through a bit of a rocky period. Although I no longer play the game, I loved FF14 like no other game I had ever played. I've put in over 12,000 hours in the 6 years that I played, and I've seen the game—
Oh, Keld, hi. I'm going to pause, by the way, in between. That is going to happen. Deal with it. Deal with it, but I don't even get why even delete your character does literally nothing. Yes, you're getting angry already. All right. I agree with this, but I will tell you why I sometimes feel like deleting a character, not my character, not my main character or characters, because I technically have two that are like, I have my main character and I have a second one that is pretty leveled. Hasn't done Endwalker story yet, but has done Shadowbringers, and some classes are level 80, like all the healers, I think. Some tanks are 80, I think. So I would consider that character my second main, technically, even though, you know. But I have a lot of alts, and technically, I don't need these ever at the moment. Like, I've made them and a lot of them are just kind of abandoned. It's different for the ones on other data centers, obviously, because I want to have at least one character on other data centers, right? Like NA. Now it's just NA generally, right? And those I kind of want one character, right? But then there's like the other characters, and I've boosted them, some of them. I've boosted them at least the level, I think most of the level and story. When I had the means to do that, right? I don't know why I was doing that. I don't know what I was thinking. Stop! I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, and sometimes I get the urge to delete them. And my reason for it is not having to think about them and knowing that they're sitting there and I'm not doing anything with them. That is my thought. And sometimes I get this done, I'm like, oh, it bothers me that these characters exist. Because I just think about them and I'm like, well, I have these characters and I'm not doing anything with them, so now they're just bothering me, right? But then I get myself back and I'm like, no, I would be sad if I deleted them. And what if I, want to get them back and I spend money on some of them, so I wouldn't want to delete them. So I can pull myself back from that. I would never in a million years just delete my character, especially because I have done that. I have done it in Final Fantasy XIV. I have deleted an alt, a main that I had, and it was my character that I had, my main character, when I played the game for the first time in Stormblood, when Stormblood was current expansion. I made a character, I played, it was on my PS4 back in the day, and I tried the game for a bit, and I didn't really like it. It's not like I didn't like it, I actually did like it, but it couldn't really grasp me, it was too much, I was overwhelmed, all of that. And when I started the game again, I deleted that character, and I do regret that. I managed to find a screenshot of that character with her name, and I made the character again. Same name, same looks and all, so I technically have her back, and she was only in A Realm Reborn back then. So I didn't really lose anything, but the memories and everything, and technically not having that original character is kind of sad to me. So from this experience, I know that I would probably be sad not having these characters, even though for alls it probably doesn't matter too much. But yeah, I could never get rid of my main. That would be, or my other main, because my other main is like, there's so many memories still with that, and yeah, it's just, I know I would regret it. And sometimes I get bothered by it, but I just know. And I would never just delete my character, because like, it's sitting there, it's in the cloud basically. If I don't play the game, then it's fine, it can just sit there, it doesn't bother anyone, right? So yeah, I don't get that either. It's sad to see, but okay, well, that was that.
Game transform over time from a highly
Lynx was born on PS4, yeah. And honestly, like, if I hadn't played the game, back in the day and had like some memories, I would have probably maybe not even considered picking it up again. I don't know. I have an account from when I tried to play before Shadowbringers 2. Yeah, on Chaos. Oh, yeah. My character was born on PS3. Holy pausing. Shut up.
Niche substitute for World of Warcraft to an unrecognizable mess of history. Final Fantasy XIV is currently going through a bit of a rocky period. Although I no longer play the game,
but is it though more than it was in previous expansions?
I loved FF14 like no.
I don't know this. I legitimately don't know this because again, I did play during Stormblood, but I never saw the end game there. I never saw how people thought about the game. I didn't play during like active Shadowbringers. Well, I kind of did, you know, but like not raiding, so all the end game and everything I was like playing through the game, right? Like the main story. And that is, you have something to do. You don't really think about end game and what content is there to do, and you're not out of content, so yeah, so it's like, does it really though? I can't answer this because I haven't played, but from what I've heard, every expansion in between like last patch, like the 0.5 patches and the new expansion is always a struggle because people are just done with content, right? But I don't know what the points here are going to be. Like, what is the actual criticism? So
other game I had ever played. I've put in over 12,000 hours.
And this is crazy. 12,000 hours is crazy.
Hours in the 6
that
years
is a crazy
that I played,
time.
and I've seen the game transform
in 6 years
over time from a highly creative niche substitute for World of Warcraft to an
a highly niche substitute for World of Warcraft.
12,000 hours in the 6 years that I played, and I've seen the game.
No, I think 12K for a 6. No, I think that's a lot of time. For 6 years, like, you have to imagine if you do all the content and everything, and I think 12K, how much is that in like days? I think that is a lot of time. I think post-game has died a little when compared to Shadowbringers, but people are blowing this out of proportions. Yeah, and that's what I think so. Yeah, I think so too. I accept Shadowbringers because Asmon started at the time. Yeah. And then people still had to like catch up, and I think now that hype that came in from Shadowbringers, you had Shadowbringers and you had Endwalker. You had these 2 expansions, which is like 4 years, right, of content, and in those 4 years you can catch up and you can have a lot of time spent in the game and you can have a lot of content done. So then obviously at some point, and I think this is most people joined in Shadowbringers because of the influx, right? Influx, right? And they played because they saw Asmongold play, for example, and now they caught up if they stuck with the game. So then like the question is, okay, is this really like the downfall of Final Fantasy XIV? Or are people just saying, well, I've done so much in those, like, let's say 4 years that now I need a break from it until the new expansion comes out. And there's a lot of those people saying that because they have the same story of starting the game in Shadowbringers and then catching up to content. And now at this point, everyone has kind of done all of the stuff, right? I don't know.
Transform over time from a highly creative niche substitute for World of Warcraft to an unrecognizable mess of oversimplification and lack of creativity.
Okay, and also you guys are addicted, so like what's your point? I still think 12,000 hours is a lot. Like just thinking about just without comparison of like the absolute nerds that play night and day, that have millions of hours in a game, I think sinking 12,000 hours into the game does mean that to some extent, like, you have done a lot of content, right? It depends, obviously, what exactly you did, but you've done a lot of content, you have a lot of experience, you've played for several years, right? So there has to be some experience there in some way.
Creativity.
Right?
The opinions and ideas I will present in this video are feelings I have had for a
Why
very long...
is this in 5? Why is this in 5? Why? Here. Can I even display that?
Time.
Probably not.
Much before I stopped
playing. Oh no,
playing
this is just a trash recording. Okay,
but
I see.
I never felt comfortable sharing these feelings because FF14 has a critical issue. You, or more appropriately, the FF14 community. It's no
Okay.
secret that a large amount of 14
I'm
players are
covering that.
die-hard lovers that will not accept any criticism or negativity towards their perfect game.
What is this scene? Do I need to move myself to the right? I don't know. But
Whenever
so this is someone. Oh my god, everyone has their thing on the left. You got. Oh my god, that was my blankets. You can't see my boobs. Not today. Today is not the day. I feel like everyone's gonna be on the left side, but if I move to the right, everything's gonna be on the right side. I know. I know. Alright, so this was a person reacting to the new
community.
trailer.
It's no secret that a
Which, wow, they're excited. They're excited for the
large
new
amount of 14
expansion.
players
That's
are
so bad.
die-hard lovers that will not accept any criticism or negativity towards their perfect game. Whenever someone brings up a problem they have with the game, they have to keep adding disclaimers that everything is fine out of fear of invoking the wrath of the FF lovers.
This is such a waste of potential, because this dungeon could probably be badass, but instead they're going to make it brain dead easy to cater to casuals, and that's fine. That's fine. A vast majority of their content is so that
I'm gonna
anybody can
finish.
do it. And while that's good, and I'm not saying that they should take it away, they need to add some stuff that is a little harder, that not everybody can do it. I'm not saying they need to
However,
Okay, so here's the thing. Oh, they cut Zeems out of context for this. I don't know. I haven't seen the original clip. What I take from this is that this was before, like, Zeems said this before he actually did the dungeon, right? Which is kind of like, anyway, but I get the criticism, and I would say what he said is true. It is not like a difficult dungeon. Right? But then again, it's not supposed to be. And what do you mean, in-game chat? Oh, that. Sorry. Yeah, it's covering. There you go. Sorry. It is not a difficult dungeon, but, and I'm sure we'll get to this at some point in the video again, so I'm not gonna, like, go on a whole rant now. But main story quest is supposed to cater to the masses, obviously, and I think Zeems knows this, and I think it makes sense, right? I think usually people are aware of this, or they should be aware of this, that main story quest dungeons are never going to be very difficult, and if you're doing Endwalker content, right? Then you have the experience from unless you boosted, but we don't talk about those people, right? You are going to have the experience of all of the dungeons before, possibly more than just the normal, like, main story quest content. Possibly you're going to have done raids, you're going to have done, like, maybe extremes, you know, maybe even ultimates, savages, whatever. So you have the experience of that. And also, wait, I need to change title. Did any of the mods change the title for, just so I don't overwrite that accidentally, because I can't see it right now. React. Oh, I think just Zar can do it then. Okay, I'll do it. React content. Woo! Okay, anyway. There we go. Boosters Unite. How dare you, Kumo? Shut up. But yeah, so you're going to have the experience, and I just want to put this into perspective, because I think a lot of people are forgetting this in the whole argument. You have experience from all these previous expansions, and possibly more content than just main story quest. And then saying, oh, well, Endwalker dungeons are easy or whatever, is like, yeah, well, obviously they're not difficult, because a lot of these are going to be somewhat repeat mechanics. A lot of these are going to be mechanics you've seen in some way before that are similar. Some of them are going to be new, yeah, but generally you know how the game works now, or you should know how the game works. And you should know that, you know, the little orange puddles are bad, and you know that what a knockback is, you know what a stack is, and you know all of these. So then the question is, how much do you really need them to innovate something when, you know, the thing is, you need some semblance of repetitiveness, because people need to not be thrown into entirely new content that has mechanics that are hard to figure out and that you need multiple pulls for in main story quest, right? I don't think they need to do that, and I think that's fine. And again, what is main story supposed to be in the game? And what is it supposed to do for the community? Well, it's supposed to give you the main story quest experience, which is focused on the main story quest, obviously, because it's the main story, right? So then obviously it wouldn't be difficult. And I think this whole argument of, oh, well, this is repeat stuff and whatever, for a main story quest specifically, saying, oh, it's too easy or whatever, I hope that these people take into account or can realize that, well, it is supposed to be something that is there for the story experience, right? So yeah, that's my take on that. But I'm sure Zeems is aware of that. I'm sure other people are aware of that. You know, it's supposed to cater to different groups, and I get that. It's frustrating for people who would like it to be more difficult. I get it. Because this content is not for you. It is not hard, right? It's not meant to be hard. It's not difficult, and it has repeat mechanics. That's a fair argument to make. But then the question is, would they ever change it? And Zeem says no, he doesn't want them to take it away, obviously. But yeah, it's like, would they ever change it? No, probably not, because of what it is supposed to be, and that's a good thing, right? Because they know who they're catering to and what content, at least to some degree. Like, you can argue about that, but I think this is how it's supposed to be, right? Let's see. The Rhine dungeons were such a great addition. I just hope they do more of that stuff. Yeah, and I hope they do more of that in 7.0. That has potential. If they could make that 8-man, that would be amazing as well, right? Something like that. Would love to see more with that. And I'm sure they're listening, but, you know, obviously it takes time to look at the feedback and to implement stuff as well. So yeah, we're gonna see. I dropped my dot earlier. Shut up, Tsar. Be quiet. Quaternion and Variant are a different kind of content. I mean, like a regular dungeon, but actually hard. Yeah, and you have Savage of that too. So I think it was a good addition. I just think the way they implemented it was in a way where a lot of people kind of overlooked it, or they didn't understand, like, what was it for. And also the rewards aren't really, I think the rewards aren't really worth it, so that is a problem. But I'm sure they'll work on that, and if they won't, that's going to be sad. But we don't know that yet, so how would we know, right? Rewards? What rewards? Yeah, exactly.
Community sentiment seems to be declining for the first time in ever. I mean, Zepla, FF14's beacon of positivity and happiness, released a 36-minute video going over all of her issues with FF14.
Okay, listen, no one is a beacon of happiness. No one is like, everyone is a human being with multiple opinions, a nuanced human being that can have different opinions and different stuff. I know this sounds crazy, but, and I'm sure Zepla has said negative things before. I'm sure that has happened somewhere in history, right? And this is obviously a clickbait title, and I don't like these. I don't like this whole thing. I haven't seen Zepla's video either. It's because I don't like this clickbait thing of, oh, Endwalker is the worst Final Fantasy 14 expansion I've ever played. Because this is so, unless you watch the video, just seeing this is so doomer mentality. And it's like people see this and it's like they see, like you see just the title, right? And then it's like, oh, it's the worst expansion I've ever played. Oh my god. And I'm sure she has good points in that video, right? Right? Like, I'm sure she's making good points, and for her, it's valid if she says, well, Endwalker is, to me personally, it's the worst Final Fantasy expansion I ever played. And then of course she would choose a clickbait title to get clicks, because that's what you do, right, as a content creator. Obviously you want that. But people take this at face value, and they look at this and they're like, oh my god, Endwalker is so bad. Oh my god, that's crazy. Like, wow, everyone played Final Fantasy and Shadowbringers, and everyone thought it was so crazy. And who would have thought, oh my god, it's actually a bad game. Crazy, right? And then you have these people not even knowing what's going on in the game, just seeing stuff like this and being like, oh, apparently the game is bad now and whatever, right? And it's so sad because, yeah, this is probably taken out of context as well, and I haven't seen the video again, but it's like, I'm sure she makes good points on this, right? I also personally, I don't like the clickbait, but it's because this is a whole doomer thing and people will jump on that. And then they'll, and then we're not having a discussion. We just have people that are just misinformed. And I don't like that. Also, welcome back, Hina. Welcome back. Even Zepler7 is getting tired of people grabbing her video and taking it out of context to doom post. Yeah, I can imagine. People also don't read the Final Fantasy 14 expansion part, yeah. That's just because people don't read. That's true, yeah. Yeah, just like in Party Finder, I can't read the text on a Party Finder post, yeah. I think mostly on YouTube, thumbnails do the most. Like, who of you reads the title before you look at the thumbnail? I look at the thumbnail and then I read the title. And then, like, I can kind of see what the video is about. But if the thumbnail doesn't look good, or, like, it doesn't grab my attention, then you're kind of out. Because then, like, maybe the title is going to save it, but it depends on what content it is. But usually it's thumbnail, and then it's title, and then, yeah. But, like, the focus is on thumbnail, yeah. I have the nuggies! Give me the nuggies right now. Right now, give me the nuggies. Don't generally care about the picture. That's interesting though, because I look a lot at the picture, and I think most people look at the thumbnail a lot.
14's current expansion and larger core issues with the game as a whole. Now, this was surprising. I mean, that's like a WoW player saying World of Warcraft is actually a good game. Like, that is
oh my god, please.
Beyond controversial. And
I can guarantee you there's people out there that rightfully say, I enjoy World of Warcraft. I know that's crazy. I know this is for comedic effect, okay? Like, and we're taking this, obviously I'm taking this all at 100%, at 200% even. But I'm sure there's also people that say, I'm just sick of people doing this, one or the other. It's just black or white, right? It's just black or white, and I'm sick of this and this whole discussion. That's why I go so much into these, statements. I know this is for comedic effect. I know, haha. I know, haha, wow, bad game, I know it's a joke, I do it myself, right? I get that, but it's like, I'm so sick of people doing this, black and white mentality for everything, and this is a 15-minute video, and this is, a legitimate, I would assume this is a legitimate try to tell people why Final Fantasy is, having a downfall, whatever. So, yeah, I think I'm allowed to, take this a little more seriously than just, haha, wow, bad game, haha. But yeah, World of Warcraft, there's people out there that rightfully say, I enjoy World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is fun to me. I have fun playing it, and I think it's a fun game. What are you gonna do about it, right? World of Warcraft is a good game, otherwise people would, why the fuck would people be playing it? This is true, and people can still, honestly, I didn't enjoy World of Warcraft. It couldn't grasp me, it couldn't catch me. Last expansion I played was the one before Dragonflight. What was it called again? Shadowlands? I get confused. Shadowbringers, Shadowlands, whatever, yeah. So, but I played Shadowlands, and I just felt so lost, kind of, and I did play Classic, and I played the game before Classic came out. Well, I didn't play it. I have my experience with World of Warcraft, though. It has a lot of nostalgia for me. I love the game for the nostalgia. I love the game for just running around and just the vibes it gives me. I've never rated in World of Warcraft, but I have to say, and I love the aesthetics. Some of the aesthetics in World of Warcraft are beautiful, and I love them. And I know it can't, keep up with Final Fantasy. A lot of people are what do you mean it's good graphics? It can't keep up with, Final Fantasy, whatever. No, but it has its charm, and I love some things about the game so much, right? And it is sad to see that it has had such a downfall, legitimate downfall, right? Because there was a lot of controversy around the company, there was a lot of people quitting everything, I'm sure we've all heard about it. There was a lot of controversy about the game itself, and a lot of people don't play anymore, and they, they have legitimate criticism, and there's a lot of objective things that you could say are bad, right? But again, people still enjoy it, and people enjoy World of Warcraft just like people don't enjoy Final Fantasy 14. That's just the way it is. And I just really don't like the whole thing of, oh, Final Fantasy is a bad game. and you can't enjoy it, or people saying, oh, World of Warcraft is a bad game, you can't enjoy it, or saying like, oh, this is the worst game ever, or this is the worst expansion ever. And it's like, yeah, well, how do we measure this, right? Like, how do we measure that? And then people just, I don't know, I think it has a lot to do with like Twitter culture, because a lot of the time you'll see this stuff happening on Twitter and people talking about this on Twitter. And Twitter has a character limit, and I think that makes a lot of conversations much more black and white than they need to be. I'm not going to like get into detail or whatever, but I'm sure people have seen this before. You can't really put yourself into the character limit that Twitter has, and then I see a lot of conversations that don't even talk about points that would be important to bring up, in my opinion, in such conversations. So I think a lot of that comes from, internet being the internet. So yeah, I don't know. I only read the title if the thumbnail calls my attention. Yeah, exactly. That's how I do that as well. I think many people do that, but then again, I don't know. Usually I do check the thumbnail, then read the title, but I read every title even if the thumbnail doesn't get my attention. Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know if I read every. I haven't really looked at my own consumer behavior too much. But from what I would say, it's like I look at the thumbnails, and then I read the titles, and then I see if like I want to watch the video. I don't know. This dude is probably serious. Don't do it for the Haas. Yeah, we're gonna see. I don't know. We're gonna see what the other points are. After a while of playing MMOs, the graphics become the least of the issue. That's true, yeah. And I think everyone just like shitting on World of Warcraft's graphics is just, you can't appreciate. Like, it's sad because you can't appreciate it for what it is. And it just needs to be like the newest HD graphics and like 4K and, and ray tracing and like cyberpunk or I don't know, whatever, right? Which it doesn't need to be. And a lot of stylized games work out so well, and it works in their favor. And I think it's the same with World of Warcraft. And I think a lot of things in World of Warcraft are still incredibly beautiful and nice. And if you don't like it, that's fine, right? But it is in the style it is for a reason, right? And it shows the style. And if you don't like it, like, that's cool. But you can't deny that they built some really, like, cool worlds, and just, it's still impressive that they have this whole stylized world, and I think it's still a really good thing, and I really like a lot of things. I don't know, I like a lot of things about it. Personally, don't like the art style, well, but I know it's not bad. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing, right? It's like, how can you say it's bad or good objectively? Like, what are we weighing this on, right? Wow, it looks like shit though. Wow. Everyone that says wow, it looks good is on Copium. That is your opinion, okay? First of all, that's your opinion. But yeah, I think, again, it's like, it's not the newest graphics. But then again, you're saying it looks like shit, but what do you base this on? You base this on, is it 4D? Is it 4D? Is it like 4K graphics? No, it's not. Right? And is it like newest standard? Do you need like the craziest PC to play it because it's like, it's amazing, and it's like, you need the like biggest, baddest NASA PC and whatever. And is it like amazingly realistic? No, it's not. It's a stylized game. But then again, if you call WoW an ugly game, then you would call all these games that are, for example, pixel games. What are pixel games then? Are pixel games ugly? Are pixel games shit then? I don't think so. There's a lot of like beautiful pixel games out there, and they have built beautiful worlds and everything. I just think it is important here to talk about what we're basing this on, because if we're basing it on, well, how beefy does my PC need to be to load in all these like 4K graphics, then yeah, of course, then WoW is shit, because you don't need a beefy PC because it doesn't have like crazy 3D models and 4K and ray tracing and everything. Obviously, yeah, but it's like, what are we basing this on? That is the part where it's like people don't understand that there's different standards, right? Same to Final Fantasy players who say to modern standards, yeah, and Final Fantasy is like outdated as well. So like what? I don't think Final Fantasy looks ugly at all. I think it looks fantastic for it, you know, being such an old game, right? Yeah. Let's see.
Yet, it seemed to go over well, with a large amount of people agreeing and seeing through the Yoshi P indoctrination.
That's 3 people.
Chris.
That is 3 people. I can only agree wholeheartedly. My friends and I have been very much in the same boat. Is this on Zepla's video? Yeah, right. Even if I don't agree with your assessment, I think this is an important discussion. Wait, what are they agreeing to Zepla's video?
14's current expansion
No, what are they agreeing
and
to?
larger core issues with the game as a whole. Now, this was surprising. I mean, that's like a WoW player saying World of Warcraft is actually a good game. Like, that is beyond controversial. And yet, it seemed to go over well, with a large amount of
Okay, yeah, so this is on Zepla's video.
people agreeing and seeing through the Yoshi
And this one, even if people this is not even even if people don't agree with your assessment, I think this is an important discussion to have. Yeah, this is a really good point, right?
P indoctrination, criticizing the game for its legitimate shortcomings. So clearly, things are changing. Hence, me finally feeling
Okay, but what was actually the content of the video? Can I get a TLDR from
comfortable
you?
to talk candidly about a game I used to love and genuinely want to see succeed. I'll be bringing up 4 main
The formula is breaking down. 2, repetition breeds apathy. Okay. 3, it wasn't always like this. Okay. 4, who is this game for anymore? No TLDR. Oh no, I mean from him, not from you guys. You guys can chill. You can watch and chill and mold. From him, because he's bringing the video up, and I would like to. Maybe he's going to go over it, but I would like to see what she has said and what he's referring to, right? Yoshi P indoctrination sounds something said in bad faith. Oh, absolutely. I think this video probably has more of that. And like saying indoctrination is absolutely like a negative thing, right? So
topics in this video. However, I won't be discussing the story since I'm a story skipper, so I don't have
what are you saying right now? No, we're gonna ignore it. It's fine.
And it does
It's
seem
fine.
to be
It's
one of the
fine.
last remaining good parts of FF14.
I hope whoever wrote the 6.x patches is not writing Dawn Trail. What are we talking about? Wait, he just dropped so much on us. Oh yeah, look, it's the most replayed. Of course it is, because why would it not be? Because this is the shittiest take with the shittiest baseline. What? How are you making a point on an MMORPG, like RPG, with a story that, okay.
However, I won't be discussing the story since I'm a story skipper.
I won't be discussing the story since I'm a story skipper. Okay, so then what is your argument? What's the last 13 minutes about? Then it's just gotta be rating. It's just gotta be about rating and stuff like, I don't know, Basha, stuff like, or Eureka, stuff like crafting, the leveling experience, I guess. About the Discord call to give you context for those points and how it used to be in the past. Oh, we can. It's important, maybe. I mean, Sakae doesn't craft though. We're only 2 minutes in. Yeah, I know. That's the one I've ranted about. Oh, that's the one? 700 upvotes, millions of people. Dude, is 700 even a lot for the Reddit? How many people use like the subreddit of Final Fantasy? Is 700 a lot? Like, I don't use Reddit, so I wouldn't know, but 700 people doesn't seem like a lot. Like, in the grand scheme of things, it isn't anyway, but on Reddit, that's the question, right? TLDR, she points out the shortcomings of the suspension content quality compared to others. Something along the lines of that. I mean, surely he'll go over it, right? Around this point is where I stopped watching his video. It's fair. Very fair. Yeah, that is fair. Because what are you even saying right now? You debunked yourself in like, okay, no, I'm not gonna say debunked because there is a lot to talk about. But the thing is, main story quest is kind of like a really big thing. So maybe that's important, right? We're looking at a 5-hour video at this point. We're getting there. I mean, I can, yes, Zar can get into the call, but I'm not gonna let him be here because we're just both gonna be toxic, and I don't think you're ready for that. I don't think you're ready for that. Also, who pinged me? Oh, I see. Okay. Give me the context then. Hello.
I can give some valuable information at the points where he has some statements.
I can't. My Discord is. Oh my god! Help! I thought my Discord died. Yes. Let's do that. If you mention being new to Men's Quest on the subreddit, it's instant upvotes. People just upvote whatever the fuck on that subreddit, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how much it is in comparison, but I don't know. Zara is one of these veteran players he keeps talking about. It's true. The fact that he doesn't play the game anymore. When did he stop playing? Is he gonna mention that? When he stopped playing? Or like, did he delete? When did he delete? Is that gonna be in the lore, or I don't know.
It's not part of it, but judging by his videos about the end of Shadowbringers.
So he doesn't even know Endwalker? Oh, that's concerning. I think the video, he had the clip of him doing 6.5 content. Oh, so wait, somewhere in Shadowbringers is when he left?
No. He's not doing that. He borrowed those clips from other people.
Oh. Well, that's great. That is amazing. If he doesn't even know... Okay, anyway.
I don't have much to say on that, and it does seem to be one of the last remaining good parts of FF14. Oh. Topic 1.
What do you mean, oh? What do you mean? I hope whoever wrote the 6.x patch is not writing Dawn Trail. Okay, what is this post even? Like... And he's giving these, so this video is dumb because so far he's given 2. No, he's actually giving more. He's given Xenos' video. He's giving this like reaction to the Dawn Trail trailer, right? That this lady had. I assume on FanFest, right? He's giving Zepla's video and he's giving this Reddit post as references of content that talked about this issue, which is a good thing. It's a good thing to do this and to bring up like context, saying, oh, here's other people talking about this and here's their experience. If you actually look into it and you talk about what they're actually saying and you actually give the full context of here's the points that they bring up and here's why they might have a point, right? And here's why I think they're right or wrong or whatever, right? So, but so far we've seen like 4 of these references to other people saying something, and if we count the comments, I guess, I don't know. But here's reference of people saying something, and I don't even know the context. And he's literally just taking this is just the thing he takes from this Reddit post. This is all the header. Like, I hope whoever wrote the 6.x patches is not writing Dawn Trail. So then, like, what is the actual discussion underneath? There's not even anything about this. So you don't even know, like, are people agreeing with this? Are people disagreeing with this? How is this received in the big grand scheme of everything, right? How is this perceived? We don't know, unless he, of course, talks about it now. But so far, we've seen so much where it's like he's not even talking about what he was previously, like, what he's referring to. Also, hi, Massix! Didn't he say you stopped playing January this year? I have no idea. I don't know this person. I don't know. I don't think I remember seeing him provide evidence for any of his points. Well, yeah, I mean, okay. Well, that's going to be a theme then. Here's my take. He either's doing this for the views. I mean, obviously. So the thing is, like, everyone is clickbaiting. Obviously, like, you know, and it's fine. I'm at this point, I'm like, yeah, well, people are obviously going to clickbait. Again, as I said, the whole Zepla thing, it's like, obviously her title is kind of clickbaity, even though, you know, it's probably still her opinion. You know, like, she's not lying when she clickbaits. She probably again, I haven't seen the video. She probably thinks that Endwalker is the worst expansion for her. It's just how it is, and then she brings up points, right? So the clickbait is a thing, and getting views, obviously, everyone wants that. That's cool. But this is not how to do it. This is not. You can still have a clickbaity title and thumbnail, and you can still have a really amazing video. But if that's not the case, then what are we doing this for, right? He is doing it in bad faith or both. The character he deleted had low level gear, like a Realm Reborn gear, and the time he showed, he could clearly edit that on Photoshop. He didn't show any playtime and didn't show that his character was advanced. He doesn't comment in the story. On the story, how can I know that all his other points are valid? So I know I know some of it is valid because if you look at the video here, you can see my cursor. It's Lynx Kameli. So he has played, and he's in Titan. He's in the fancy Titan, right? So he has at least played up to there. So he has gotten up to level 80. I don't know about the character deletion. Maybe he's gonna say more about that. It looked to me like he did delete his character. Honestly, it's whatever. If he's doing it for clickbait, stupid. If he's actually doing it for, he actually deleted it, even stupider, I'd say, because that is really sad, and I wouldn't be surprised if he would regret that at some point. I don't know. I don't know him. Maybe he won't. Maybe he's legitimately so, fed up with the game that he's never gonna want to touch it again. But if he actually deleted it, my god, what a drastic, unnecessary step to take. Yeah. How can I know all his other points are valid if he didn't show any of his achievements on the content he actually did or is representing any valid or substantial arguments that would make a clear point in feedback? I mean, see, the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if this was just an uninformed opinion. People say their opinion all the time when they don't have a clue of what's going on, and they wanna seem like they have a clue, and they just wanna jump on some bandwagon. It happens all the time, right? People are uninformed, or even, it doesn't even have to happen in bad faith. Sometimes you just don't know all the info, and sometimes you can't know all the info, and that's fine, and you can have an opinion, you can change it later if you have more info, and you can have a shit take. Unfortunately, on the internet now, everyone immediately gets canceled with a bad take, but I think it's always important to see, the context and to see what has the person actually done, what context do they have, what information do they have, are they open for an open discussion about any of what they said, and was this maybe just a slip up of, well, they didn't have enough information, or they had a shit take and now they're owning up to it, or are people legitimately doubling down on takes about stuff that they have zero idea about, right? So I think it's always important to think about this, and I don't know this person enough, but maybe we'll know at the end. I mean, maybe we'll know when we see more. Let's see. I stand by my opinion. He saw how good shitting on WoW was, and how good now jumping on the bandwagon Final Fantasy's bad is to get easy views, both for a few people who actually. I mean, is he known? Is this just a random guy, or is he known in the 14 community? Because I don't know.
He's known for some bad shit.
Okay. Well. All right. Well.
Like what I wrote in the Discord. Being part of Panty Raiders.
Oh, that! Oh, so he was part of that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, some people just suck. That's also a thing, right? Some people just, I mean, people have different moral compasses, right? That's a thing. So, it might all be bad faith, and, you just want to get clicks. Yeah.
I mean, he is a person who used to, part of a group who used to post nude pictures of females.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Harassing female streamers.
Yeah, I saw
laughing
that.
about it.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that you were talking about it in the Discord with Psy, right? You were saying that. Yeah, that is just fucked up. If that is what they did, what the fuck? Who is it? What? Huh? Let's see. Both for the few people who actually think that, or from the people who disagree with him and want to make a video and comment about it. Yeah. Being critique on Final Fantasy is acceptable and all good if you have some substance and set critique. Yes, absolutely. If you're actively trying to give constructive criticism on how to solve the issue. Yes. Taking into account the larger player base play style as well. Yeah, I think you need to be very informed to make like actually have constructive criticism, because obviously like we are not in the development team. We don't know a lot of things that go into developing a game. We don't know the numbers of anything, basically. We don't know what do people enjoy on a grand scheme. What we see is a curated timeline on Twitter, or posts of like singular people on Reddit, or we see videos of creators saying something and then people disagree or agree with that. And I think streamers do have obviously they have a bigger audience, they have a bigger power, they have a bigger influence. People that do more in the game, more content, and people that are more informed are always going to have a better opinion than people that are uninformed and that haven't done a lot of stuff. Because the more you see of the grand scheme of the game, and again, we can't see like all the development stuff, but we can see, like, we can perceive as a consumer, and we can give our feedback. And if a lot of people agree, well, then we probably have a point, right? And the more you know about a game, the more constructive criticism you can give, because then you have a broader oversight of what is going on in the game and what the community needs or wants. And the more you talk to people and the more feedback you get, for example, as a streamer, the more you can actually, you know, build your opinion and figure out what is actually wrong and right. And I think a lot of people make these posts or make these videos and they don't have this insight, not from themselves or from, you know, a community or a group of like friends or acquaintances that they know and that they, you know, regularly talk to, and they just do it, and then, you know, they are missing crucial information maybe, or they don't have that overview. And that is sad to see, but it happens all the time, right? Let's see. Sorry for the huge wall of text. No, you're good. You had that on Notepad? Yes, you did. Yeah. Twitch does let you write the... yeah. No citations? Yeah, I mean... It's just using this stuff for like to prove his point, not to actually have a discussion. This is just I would assume that this video is just he's trying to prove his point of game bad, downfall of Final Fantasy, and he's not giving any context. And if he did, then like at least half of the things that he so far has given as reference would put him in his place, because it's not actually just black and white. He used to do endgame stuff. He was one of the top Dark Knight players when he was actively playing. Oh, okay. I mean, see, it's what I said. Like, it's fair, and I think, like, he obviously is allowed to have his point, and he's allowed to have his opinion, because, again, I think 12,000 hours is nothing to laugh at. I know everyone's like, oh, like, that's not a lot of time. I think it is a lot of time. Like, you still put a lot of, like, personally, for you, 12,000 hours of your life is a lot of time, right? So there is obviously a potential here to have good points and to, you know, say his opinion and be like, well, I don't like this and that, and here's why these points are, you know, generally accepted by the community, or here's why this might be a bigger problem. But I don't think we're getting that here, so. Person can be a huge piece of shit but still have good takes. That is true. He doesn't seem to have any. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, like, you know, but yeah. Yeah, it's a better rant with bad takes. It's a bitter rant with bad takes. That's all this. Yeah. 7 hours react. Let's go. We continue.
Oh, topic 1. The formula is breaking down.
What does that
For anyone
mean?
that has
Explain
played
it.
FF14 for longer than one expansion, we all know that this game operates on an extremely strict by-the-books formula with 0 surprises. Every expansion has 3 Savage Raid tiers, 3 Alliance raids, 2 trial bosses at launch, and a new one every major patch, accompanied with a new dungeon. I mean, there is 0 room for going above and beyond. Just stick...
Okay, but why would we need to? Like, why would we need to go above and beyond? Like,
yeah, but also, he says the formula is breaking down. No, it isn't. It's been the same time. It's same since ARR.
Yeah, I think, what does he mean that, like, people are fed up with the formula? Is that what he means by breaking down? Because I don't understand how it's breaking down.
You think he's gonna explain?
I don't think he's gonna explain, that's why. That's why I'm, like, asking, it's like, I don't think he's going to explain what he means. I think this is a very, I think another problem here is that he probably put these points together and this video is kind of sloppy with its execution. He just, like, put some points there to be like, here, let's have a table of contents, but then it wasn't really thought through what he's actually saying in those points and what the points actually mean. So now it's kind of like not adding up, because how is the formula breaking down? It's been the same. He's literally saying it's been the same ever since. It's always like, he literally says it's always like this. So obviously it's not breaking down from a development point of standpoint, right? So how is it breaking down? It's not. Does he mean that it's breaking down in reference to the players perceiving it? Like, do the players not enjoy it anymore? Are they bored of it or whatever? Like, is that the point? Because that is, then I wouldn't call it it's breaking down, because it's not. And the thing is, why would we have to change this? So the criticism here is that it's always the same cycle. But so counterpoint from me, there's development cycles in every game. Right? Every game has development cycles. Games have, like, let's say patch day on Tuesday is a development cycle. Why would we change that? It's the thing for many games, right? That's like the patch day, right? So, and then they have a patch every so and so weeks. They have a big expansion every so and so years. It's the same thing. And you know why that is the case? Because shocker, I know, but games and people that develop something, doesn't even have to be games, need a development cycle. You know why there's stuff like Scrum and whatever they call it, right? And like the development, like what you learn in development of a game, whatever. There's like cycles that have a name, and you have these to unify a cycle in development to make it easier for everyone in development and for the consumer to know when stuff is coming, because it makes it easier for everybody that way, and especially for development. So then why would they change it? It's not breaking down. It's working very well. It's like, it's really good that they have that, and it's good that they have a cycle and they know what the workload is. So many years they set that years ago, right? And now they know every single expansion, every cycle is going to be the same. And you're going to, well, it's not exactly the same. Obviously, there could always be delays and stuff like COVID, right? That stuff obviously gets in the way. But otherwise, you have a cycle you can rely on, and you know how many people you need, you know how much time you need, you know how much resources you need, everything. So this is not a bad thing, and people complaining about this, again, maybe don't have the insight. I get that near the end of an expansion, like we are in now, right? Now we just have the patches, and now we're just waiting for the new expansion, right? So now it's boring for us, maybe, if we've done everything in the game and we can't be bothered. But guess what? You can go play a different game. You know what the developers can't do? Go make a different game, because they're working on this game and they have to keep doing that. So then, like, what is the point? You can leave. You don't have the obligation to keep the cycle going. So obviously they would have this cycle. It's just like, what are we talking about here?
To what has always been delivered. And people are just simply getting tired of it.
Yeah, okay, so it's the player base. All right. But then how is it breaking
in
down?
Knowing what you'll be getting when you pay for an expansion. I mean, if any of you have been paying attention.
But you're still getting new stuff. Like, yeah, sure, they have a cycle. Like, of course, you know that you're getting this amount of content. But why would it be a problem, huh? You're
Also,
still getting new trials.
Also, Final Fantasy have more players than ever.
Yeah.
So, what do you mean people are fed up?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like people are still playing, and then even if they're not, even if they're taking a break now, like, what's the point? The game is successful, and a lot of people are still playing it, and a lot of people didn't jump off when the whole Shadowbringers hype happened. They actually played the game, and I can guarantee you the player numbers are permanently up now. Like, they are up. I've seen the graph at some point, I think. I don't know what it is like right here now today, but I'm pretty sure we still have a stable increase of player base. And like maybe now it's like going down temporarily because, you know, obviously people aren't playing in the middle of like no content, like content drought, right? But I think generally, if we look at the whole life cycle of the game, we would be at the top, and like we would have more players, and just, you know, like the average player number is higher, right? So it avoids the crunch too. Yes, it avoids the crunch too, right? It's like it makes so much sense. But again, I guess this point wasn't meant to be, oh, the cycle is breaking down. This point was meant to be, people are bored. That is his point. Some people are bored with content. That is his, oh, like the point that he had should have said, some people are bored with the content, or not even some, just put people are bored with the content because there is none, or like we're missing content, or it's always the same thing. But then again, it's an invalid argument, because his point is, okay, we have this amount of like savage trials, we have this amount of ultimates, we have this amount of like quests and everything, and that bores people. That is not the case, right? That's just not the case, because that is not what bores people. Or at least I don't think most people even mind. Most people are aware of that. I think people are just like, oh yeah, well we have like these 12 fights in a Savage tier, and that's just how it is. I don't think anyone's bored by that, because again, the content you're actually getting is always different. The tiers are always different. The fights are different. It's always a different thing. You're getting new themes. You're getting new fights. You're getting new like mechanics. Everything. Like, how can you say that bores people just because it's the same amount of content? That just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, come on. This dude went out of his way to write a script, get screenshots and footage, do all the editing, and said, yep, this is a banger. Yeah, I think it's kind of so far it feels half-baked. Very half-baked. Not even half-baked. It's raw. It's raw. It's bland. It's raw. The lamb sauce, it's not working out. No. Also, hi Brad, hello, and hi Casey, hello. They also throw some experimental content like Island Sanctuary and new dungeon mode. Yeah, so they're actively doing stuff. And if you don't like Island Sanctuary, and if you don't like Criterion dungeons, then that's fine. That is your opinion. That is super okay. That is like definitely valid to have. If you're saying, hey, we don't have anything like Eureka or Basha, that is a really good point. You're making a really good point. If you're not into anything like Island Sanctuary or the Criterion dungeons, they bore you, and you did them, and maybe you did them and then they bored you, or maybe you didn't even want to try because they're just not your type of content. Wow, that's a valid point. Congrats. You have a valid criticism. And that is a good thing to let the developers know, and that is okay. But it's like, what, huh? Like, come on. That, like, they're adding content. It's not like they're not giving you anything. Island Sanctuary is great for the people that like it, and so is Criterion Dungeons. They could do more with it, in my opinion. And I think Island Sanctuary is amazing, but I also don't do it enough because I can't be bothered. But I think it's amazing, and I want them to do more with that as well. It's not a Basha, it's not a Eureka, but I don't need it, personally. So that is my opinion on that. So, and they're doing something for the game. I can tell that they're putting a lot of thought in it. And then people complain, for example, Island Sanctuary. People complain about how the system with, like, planting and feeding your animals worked. You know what they did? They changed it. And it all happened so fast. So, how are they, like, how is anyone saying they don't care about the game? That is bullshit. Because they listen so actively and so quickly to all the criticism that is being made. And all the, like, just think about all the quality of life updates that we've gotten recently. And just overall. It's amazing. And I keep, like, the 2 dies. Remember the 2 dies? Like, holy shit. What the hell? They need to change the whole system for that. Can you imagine? That's crazy. And everyone went crazy. And then they were like, wow, people are almost more amazed by the 2 dies instead of like everything else that we just showed them today. And it's like, yeah, because that is an amazing update and people love this. So what's the point, right? Huh? The cycle is fine. They should do something exciting with it, like fun new mechanics instead of limit cut number 7, the good old limit cut. I will be disappointed if limit cut is not an argument in this video, because limit cut is always an argument, and I get that, but I also personally, as someone who has gone through a few limit cuts now, not since around Reborn, obviously, I just have my opinion from, I guess, Shadowbringers, like early Shadowbringers, I guess. So, I'm not a veteran, obviously, I don't know, but with all the limit cuts I've seen, they've been different. They've been different and they've been handled different. And just because a little number appears above your head and the boss like targets you for something and then you need to see that it doesn't target other people, just because that is the general idea of it, in my opinion, doesn't mean that every limit cut is the same and boring. Like, limit cut can be so many different, like, P9 limit cut and T limit cut. These are my two recent examples that I can currently think of. Super different. Entirely different in execution, and you need to learn the system for those, depending on which system you use, right? You need to still learn it, and it's a wholly different thing to learn and execute, and it feels satisfying when you do it, in very different ways. So you're telling me that limit cut is always the same thing? I also don't think so. Yeah, it's called a limit cut, everyone refers to it as a limit cut, but is it really the same thing? Do you feel like it's the same thing when you execute it? Could you do the limit cut? If you've done P9S limit cut, would you immediately know what to do for T? No. So that is also different. And just because like, oh, it's another limit cut. Oh, it's a limit cut. Yeah, sure it is, but it's very different in execution. So to me, I don't mind it. But then again, maybe people who have played for longer do mind it. And maybe they see it as it's another limit cut. Oh, I would love something entirely different. Right? But just because the number is above your head, I personally don't think that it's a recycled mechanic, because it's not, at least for what I've seen recently. Again, I haven't done the recent ultimates. I don't know how it is in there. I haven't done top or DSR. I don't know if there's like recycled stuff there, like one-on-one basically. I don't think so. But then again, I don't know about that. Just from the recent examples that I've seen, again, T isn't recent, but that is just the ones I've seen recently, right? It's like, well, they're different in execution very much, so, yeah. A fucking idiot sandwich. It's raw and lacking seasoning. Yeah, Act 2 starting soon after stream. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the headpats and thank you for the hydrate. I'm hydrate. Thank you. People got banned for those quality of lives. It's true. To be fair, there are new mechs, but yeah, they're gonna reuse a lot of shit. Yeah, and they do, and that is a valid criticism to have. I think it depends on every person how they perceive it. But yeah, there's obviously going to be repeat stuff, and they do want to keep, obviously they do want to keep reusing some stuff, but I've always felt like the repeating stuff happens in the content that is more tied to main story quest, that is more for the general population, and I feel like less repeating stuff happens in Savage or Ultimate fights. And that is the fights that you're going to see over and over and over again, right, in Endgame, that you do if you want to keep up. This is your content that you want to master and that you want to get good at, and this is the content where I think combat matters more than in main story quest, right? And that is where you would really notice if, like, all the fights of the tier would just keep repeating mechanics. That would be a problem, because then there's no skill ceiling anymore that you can increase. There's just, you repeat the mechanics over and over and over, and you don't really need to learn the fights anymore. I still think that you need to learn the fights, the new, like, Savage fights or ultimate fights. They're very different in how they're executed. But I will agree that, for example, the current Alliance raid, the new Alliance raid, definitely reused. You know what else is reused? The last boss is a literal, and I think this is a perfect, amazing example. The last boss of the current Alliance raid is a mix of all the mechanics plus like some, but is a mix of all the mechanics the bosses before did, right? Everyone who's done this has noticed, and there's a lore reason for this. I'm not going to, there's obviously a reason for that, that this boss is using all of the abilities of the previous bosses of these Alliance raids. And you know what? That sucks on a standpoint of hey, I'm just looking at the combat. That sucks because you're literally just repeating mechanics, and you have had to have done the previous fights to even get there. So obviously you would know these mechanics, so then obviously you can now do them in the last fight. You know why I don't think it sucks to have these mechanics repeat? Because the boss is for story purposes. It is this way because the story tells you, hey, this last boss is a mix of all the bosses before, so that is why they would use the same abilities. It has a logical reason, and you know what? That tells me exactly why this boss exists. It's to, tell a story. And that is why the alliance raid exists, is to tell a story. It's not meant to be challenging. That is not what it was made for. And I think people need to understand that because of the development, like what they want to do with this and what they want to do with Alliance Raid, it's meant to tell a story. And it's not meant to be challenging, like mechanically challenging. And yeah, you can totally criticize that it's not new mechanics or that the bosses before are like repeating mechanics or it's too easy, right? Totally, absolutely a thing. But then it's like, what, huh? What's the argument of saying, oh, it's boring when, yeah, it's not meant to, like, it's not hard content. Not gonna spoil it for you. Spoils why the boss does all the mechanics. Yeah, but did I spoil anything for you? No, not really, right? Like, it's a mix of the bosses before doing the mechanics of them, right? That's not a spoiler. Do you know if it's all the bosses, like, at once? Do you know if it's, one being? Do you know, like, what exactly it's doing? Do you know what it looks like? Did I spoil it for you? I don't think so. Who's the bad take? Sakae or the person in the video? I don't know. We're gonna find out if I'm canceled on Twitter tomorrow, I guess. Everything in Final Fantasy is recycled, but not in a bad way. Yeah, that too. I mean, obviously they have to recycle like so many things. The DSR limit cut is fun. I give them that. Yeah, see, and I don't know about this. Like, I'm not gonna pretend and say no that I know how they do it there, or what is in there, or how fun that was for people, or how not fun that was, because I haven't done that in this content, so I can't give you my opinion on it. I could just refer to other people, but then again, my sources are just like the few people that I have seen or I've talked to in my little, my little space and my little bubble. So like, how much does that really account for? Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil. I hope it didn't. I don't think it spoiled too much. But I'm sorry if it did. If you perceive this as a spoiler, I apologize. But I was trying my best. Okay. Alliance raids don't gotta be challenging, but at least be creative. Yeah, I get that. As in creative with the fact we got 3 full parties. Yeah, I get that. I think these last raids don't really have any of that, and I think that is, if I had to make a criticism on the creativity of the, you're special. I'm sorry, Ryuji. You can play with the cat, okay? But yeah, I think if there's a criticism to make, that it's maybe that there's not enough responsibility put onto the respective alliances. Like, Alliance 1 has to do this thing, Alliance 2 has to do this thing, Alliance 3 does another thing, right? I will give it that. I don't think we had any of that in this last Alliance raid. The one before, I don't even know. Like, was there anything there? I think that is the criticism that... there's definitely a point in there, because if I think about Nier, if I think about, like, I don't necessarily know about the Stormblood ones, but like, it felt like you had more responsibility in, like, Nier is like the Shadowbringer ones, right? I feel like there was more of that, and we took a step back from that. I don't know, but then again, I would have to like look at what exactly the mechanics of every boss are and how it works together. I feel like that is maybe something that I would like to see more generally, even without the comparison of previous ones. Having alliances have a certain responsibility, like a responsibility just they have. Actually, funny enough, I think A Realm Reborn had this quite a bit, right? Like, for example, you have the Cerberus in World of Darkness, and then everyone has to do their part, and you have like assigned roles. And unfortunately now it doesn't matter. You don't really notice this a lot, because it doesn't really matter, because it's A Realm Reborn and it's old content, and usually you just kill the boss so fast that nothing ever matters, kind of, right? But yeah, I would say A Realm Reborn is maybe something, and maybe has more of that even. You know, I don't want to say it's better or anything because, again, I would have to look at the different mechanics, and I don't particularly enjoy A Realm Reborn alliance raids, but I think that's more because it's so repetitive, because you do it like a million times in your Final Fantasy career, and you just keep getting it in all your roulettes and everything. So that definitely, you know, makes it more icky for me. But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely good criticism to be had, but I don't think anyone really goes into detail for it. So, I mean, some people do, obviously, but this guy doesn't, so yay. Yay!
Destiny 2, that game is a complete RNG loot box of what you'll get when you pay for an expansion. However, the downside to being extremely formulaic
Okay. Weird comparison.
is you lose the ability to excite people. No longer am I sitting at the edge of my seat watching every live letter stream theorizing with my friends on what they'll announce next.
Okay, but that's a you problem, because people who have played since A Realm Reborn are still doing that. People who have been playing since A Realm Reborn still can manage to be excited for the new expansions because they like the game. Guess what? If you don't like the game, you're not going to be on the edge of your seat and look at every news and everything. If you're not involved with the game, you're not going to do that. What a surprise.
Next.
And that's like that, but that's a subjective thing.
I know what's coming. Another 24-man raid. One new dungeon, a new trial boss.
Okay, but that is not the point of the live letter, to tell you that this stuff is coming. Literally, people from the past, like 10 years into the past, 100 years into the past, could tell you that this is what is going to be coming. Like just the amounts of trials that are going to be there. Literally, anyone could tell you this. To some degree, obviously they could change it along the way, but it's like, yeah, obviously they can change, obviously they can change, but like it's always going to be roughly the same, right? And they can change like the release times or whatever. You know what the exciting thing about a live letter is? That is right. You see the new content, what is actually going to be in the game. You see the new dungeons, what they look like. You see maybe new characters. You see new worlds. You see the new places you will go to. You see the amazing scenery. You see, you get snippets of the story. What's going to happen? Why are we going there, right? Like, why are we going to this new island? And what is it supposed to be? And which characters are going to be where? Are they going to have new outfits? There's new classes. You see the trailer, you get so much input. It's so exciting. You see so much, and then they go over it and they tell you, oh yeah, we're gonna have this and that, and then they tease you and they're like, oh, you might have seen this and that. Well, aren't you excited to see how that is going to play out in the new expansion? I bet you are. And then everyone's like, oh my god, yes, because people are legitimately excited because they care about the game. What this guy is describing is just not caring about the game anymore, which is fine, but that doesn't mean the game is dead. That doesn't mean the majority of player base is not excited anymore. I can guarantee you that so many people that have been playing for so long, and even people who aren't playing right now, are excited, and they can be excited for the live letter. Even if they're not involved, like they can be like, oh my god, there's news on a new expansion, like let's look at them, let's see what the game has in store for us. Maybe, you know, we can come back and we can do the expansion, and that's cool, right? So then you see that, of course, I'm talking mostly about expansion news here. Live letters are a little different, yeah, right? But live letters usually have quality of life stuff, right? Yeah, quality of life. They have the new patch stories, so they teaser like the new dungeon or the new trial that's going to come up as well. So it's not as big, but they still do all the things that I just described, right? And that is exciting because you get all the stuff and you can experience it in-game. And they tell you about it, and it's the contents. It's not the amount of stuff you get, it's the contents. Like, what am I actually getting? What experience am I actually going to have? It's about the experience and not the amount of stuff, right? And like, how are we saying that it's not good because you know exactly how many trials are coming? Like, I haven't even thought about that ever. I haven't thought about, oh, this amount of trials is going to come out now. Oh, that's predictable. Oh my god, I guess I hate the game now. Huh? That's not a valid point. I'm sorry, but that's just not a valid point to me. We need a counter for every bad take he has. I don't know. That's the thing about this is, right, it's bad takes and good takes are subjective, of course. Maybe someone out there agrees with him, but yeah, in this stream there would probably be a lot. He sounds like a 60-year-old man trying to get an erection, looking at his wife's lingerie. What are you talking about, Brad? What is this oddly specific? What? What am I reading? Huh? Did this man just compare Final Fantasy to Destiny, where you lose the ability to play old content when new stuff comes out? Yeah. I think he did. I know I don't really know much about Destiny, but I feel like it's very different in comparison to Final Fantasy. And I think even a WoW as a comparison is it would kind of be the same thing. You can still do older content in WoW, I think, but it's not gonna feel like it has a point to it. And in Final Fantasy, doing older content feels like it has a point to it. Like, you know, you have ultimates and people are still like doing the older stuff, and you have people running, you know, like stuff like Boscha and Eureka is still being run, and there's like active communities around it. So it never feels like you're doing something that doesn't have a point. Obviously, it's not as populated anymore, like for example Eureka or whatever. Obviously that's not hyped anymore. Obviously not everyone is doing that. Everyone is like doing, you know, the newest content, obviously, but it never, in Final Fantasy, it has never felt like I needed to catch up to something just so I can be with the entirety of the player base and do stuff with the entirety of the player base, because there will always be people that can be found to do the older content, and I haven't really felt that way in like WoW, or I guess Destiny would be even worse then, right? So it's always very difficult to compare games, because I think even if they're like MMOs, they still work differently in a lot of aspects, and people quickly overlook these aspects for a broader comparison, which is always a dangerous thing to do. I watch live letters for balance notes and actual news stuff. Anybody who's looking at it at anything for anything else is just learning the formula still. Yeah, kinda. Yeah. Maybe they were overhyping the previous stuff, that the latest stuff isn't that good. It's all about composition, even though both were good. Some slightly better, insignificantly better. Yeah, no, but like, I don't think the previous stuff was overhyped. I think the previous stuff was really good. I think Shadowbringers was really good, and people enjoyed Shadowbringers a lot. And then, like, we had Endwalker come out, and I think a lot of people also liked Endwalker, but in comparison, it might pale in some aspects, yes. But yeah, this is the thing. It wasn't overhyped. I think it was appropriately hyped. And there was a lot of activity around it because of Asmongold and all of that, and people coming into the game. And then maybe they don't like some aspects of Endwalker, but I honestly don't think Endwalker pales in comparison, at least like in terms of the story and what we're getting. I don't think it's much of a step down. Like, there is some things, yeah, that are maybe lacking, right? But I never felt like we stepped down significantly. Like, it is not like, I don't have a good comparison. Is there a good comparison of like a expansion completely flopping after the previous one? I think Dragonflight was really good in comparison to like the previous ones, right? That's what I heard people say. I don't know about any of the other games, but I just don't think there. Endwalker. What do you
Heavensward.
Heavensward. You think Heavensward was worse than Stormblood? Which one?
No, but Heavensward, like, compared just to the general thought about it, Heavensward fucking killed the raid scene. It was not good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know this is I don't know the comparison, but I think if people who have played this long and they have seen a history of the game have perceived this, and I think there's always been, maybe not for Shadowbringers, I feel like there's always been some type of controversy around every single expansion, because of course there always would be, because people talk about their preferences all the time. And I think A Realm Reborn is in controversy because it's A Realm Reborn. It's the base game, right? It used, like, people said recently it took too long, they changed it, made it short and whatever. I think A Realm Reborn was very positive back in the day because, you know, you had 1.0, right? And you have A Realm Reborn. And there's a lot of controversy around that. And it's like, wow, it's a rebooted game, basically. Can they really make it work? That was probably a controversy back in the day, right? And then they compared it to the previous game that flopped so badly, right? And then they had Heaven's Sword, which I guess, was really bad for rating because it was too complicated and whatever. And then people were unhappy with that, and I don't know the scale or the scope of this, but that was the controversy. I guess rating, we could say, was a controversy there, right? And then it's Stormblood, which I've always perceived as a controversy in regards to the story. Many people complaining it was too political, right? It was very different in tone, like the whole thing with Lise and whatever. People didn't like that, so it was controversial for the story. And then I don't know about the raid scene again, like that's something I'm just not really familiar with. And then Shadowbringers was one that was very, very well perceived. I don't know how it was with rating, but because we had the whole thing with Asmongold and people jumping on the game, and we had the whole WoW, all the WoW people, not wanting to play the game anymore because of what was going on over there. And then people came over, and so that was like, oh my god, like it's crazy. And you could say that was kind of controversial. Not like controversial, but that was definitely a big impression the game left, right? The expansion left. So that was like the impression of Shadowbringers was very big. And I think it was in a very positive light primarily. And I think that might be the problem now with Endwalker, that now we're getting back to, a new expansion. And a lot of people are talking about it. And a lot of people maybe don't have the comparison from previous expansions. And they have seen all this crazy, positivity and everyone playing Shadowbringers. And now they go back, quote unquote, to Endwalker. And now you don't have this whole feedback of every streamer playing it anymore, and people have moved on to other games and whatever, right? And now there's the core player base that's stuck around, or and people are realizing, well, it's just another game, with another cycle, and maybe it was overhyped in a sense that people expected so much from it. But now we're in Endwalker, and now a lot of people now see the cycle before a new expansion for the first time, because a lot of people came in with Shadowbringers, right? And then they got Endwalker pretty quick after that, so no one really had to wait too much on that because everyone was busy doing main story quests, so no one would bat an eye about lack of endgame content. So then they got Endwalker, and now we're at now is the first point in the history of those players that joined at that point where they can see, oh, we're in a downtime. Right? So I think that does a lot for it. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of players that are unhappy with this downtime have never experienced this downtime before. And they have never experienced the endgame before like they do now. And now people have caught up, right? And I just think that is what might be contributing to this whole discussion a lot. Yoshi P's shirt conspiracy theories. I love those. I know exactly how much content I'm getting. Is the quality of content and the wonder of what it's going to be. Yes, that is more interesting. Absolutely. Yeah. I did feel left out in Final Fantasy 14. As with content, you thought everyone was doing different content. I think that might also be a problem of being member in a stream community, Brad. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think people that start out the game and spend time with people, for example, in a streamer community that primarily do endgame content, because we were doing a lot of content that you didn't have access to, right? So then obviously you'd feel left out there because you see the comparison of all these people doing content that you can't yet do. So I totally get that. And I think it's obviously... it always depends on your specific situation of, do I have friends to play with? Are there people there that explain to me how the game works and they can help me and all of that? That's going to have a very big impact on your player experience, definitely. Whatever expansion after Legion probably flopped. I think that maybe Shadowlands. Oh, I don't remember. Battle for Azeroth, that one was not well received. I will never forget the guy in Minster Quest Roulette who said he was building a big gay wall around Ferry to keep the WoW refugees out. Wait, what? That happened? Oh my god. I remember the people whispering random travelers in Ulda acting as border patrol. If you're from Crystal, your visa was denied. No way. That's crazy. In general, not stream-wise. Yeah, but that's like, but it doesn't have to be like related to stream. It's just like our activities that we did as a community, not necessarily on stream. Just like generally the events we had and everything, right? Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see that. That is definitely a thing. I barely play anymore. Yeah. I mean, some people liked it, some people didn't. Some people could get into it and some people couldn't. That's always going to happen. It's always going to be a thing. And I think A Realm Reborn can be hard to get through. And yeah, it's definitely, it's all about your personal experience. What's the video about again? Don't
Another
worry,
4
I got
bosses
you.
in the Savage tier. Except actually, the final boss of the Savage tier is 2 fights that are half finished to form a 5-boss raid tier. Whoa, dude. What if they just made 1 fight that was fully complete? Okay, sorry, that's besides the point. I got a little off my rocker there. The point
Your
is,
whole video is besides the point.
veteran players that have been around for a few cycles of the 14 formula are just getting burnt out. And what's strange about this is Final Fantasy IV
Wait, what?
around for a few cycles of the 14 formula are just getting burnt out.
But it has nothing to do with the formula. And they're not getting burned out, but okay. Like, they're getting bored, not burned out. Probably. Maybe they're getting burned out. There's also burnouts, of course, but I'm pretty sure they're getting bored, if anything. They're not getting bored of the formula, though.
And what's strange about this is Final Fantasy XIV has grown
Oh, that's so strange! Oh my god, that's so strange! I can't believe it. That's crazy!
immensely. I mean,
That's crazy!
the popularity
How did they do it?
this game has only gone up over time, which obviously means way more revenue, and yet, what's
yeah,
to
this
show
one,
for
yeah.
it? In fact, some of you might not know this, but in Heaven's Word, we actually got 2
Crazy. It must be whoa, since when can I... What the hell? Since when can I scroll while I'm at full screen? What? My mind is blown. What the fuck?
dungeons per
Anyway, so, you always could... Nah. What the hell? I never knew. Okay, anyway, we learned something, okay? It's crazy that the game has had a player influx when it's so freaking bad. And everything is just so boring. That's crazy. How do they do it? I don't know. It must all be bots, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I thought that was the wallpaper. Oh my god, I swear. Has he seen Athena? Yeah. Right? I don't know what he's on. Door bosses are complete fights. Yeah. Huh? It's literally 2 full fights. What? Yeah, that's new. Yeah, that's new, right? YouTube Premium, regular YouTube? No, I didn't know you could do that.
We've steadily been getting less dungeons with every expansion.
Okay, that's a lie because I can literally
We've steadily been getting less dungeons with every
This is the same amount of dungeons, so you're lying. Is that so? That's what we're doing. So you're lying, and you can see level 71, level 81, level 73, level 83, level 75, 85, and so on, right? So it's always the same. And then we get a bunch of like max level dungeons, right? So clearly, they still have the same amount. I would be surprised if they put this down. They might, of course, they might put the number down again. In Dawn, whatever, right? But this might just be their cycle now, like how many they put, and
what they did is they took out the hard
and
mode
that
dungeons, and the
would
reason for that is because they're not relevant to the story anymore, as well as they have reduced the amount of dungeons to increase the quality of the dungeons.
Yeah. That would have
They
been the
are
other
much
point, right?
better.
Yeah, you can see, like, this has 2 more, and there's this one which is hard, and this one which is hard. How many more does this have in comparison to this? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. 5. Do these line up? I guess they line up. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hard dungeons. What a surprise! Wow, you'd think there's a system, you'd think there's a reason for them doing this, right? That's crazy. Like, who's to say that this is like the list? But they clearly have a system. Clearly, this is like 81 has a dungeon, the 83 has a dungeon, like the 3, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, the 9th level has a dungeon, right? And then we have like this amount of dungeons at the max level. So there's a system to it, and it's always been the same system. As you can see, it's the same for 50 and 60, 53, 63, 55, 50, 65, and so on, right? So they kept that, and it's still a system, and no one is burning out on this, or no one is like getting bored with this, because the dungeons are always new dungeons, right? It's new content, it's new stuff to look at, right? So yeah, and then the hard dungeons, I'm not sad that we don't have a forest series in Endwalker. I'm not mad about that. That dungeon fucking sucks, okay? I said it. That dungeon fucking sucks, alright? And it's like, Hullbreaker Isle hard. Like, why am I here just to suffer, right? I'm not mad about these. I am not mad about these disappearing. Yeah, it's cute that they have a nice little, hard dungeon challenge or whatever. But at this point in Endwalker, they can amp up the difficulty of the dungeons, and they have to, because obviously, think about this, we're getting new abilities every expansion. We're getting new stuff to put on our hotbars, right? And we've been getting all these new abilities and everything, and we need to be able to press our buttons and do all of that, learn our rotation, learn to use our abilities. And guess what? So these dungeons are automatically more difficult than what we had before. And so, you could argue, oh well, but hard is an additional difficulty, and then you could do these, but you don't have to, and then you have hard dungeons. Yeah, well, but the way the game works now, with how the game is set up, with all the abilities, the new max level, right, and how we do this, is in fact, in my opinion, enough. And it is already difficult enough. We don't need hard dungeons, in my opinion, because why would we need them? Well, for what? Like,
there's another point also to be made, is where, so Ryuji also mentioned it. So in Stormblood we got Eureka, so it has a few less, but the content in Eureka is very low on story. It's just a bunch of fates. It's very easy to make content, so they took away some. Shadowbringers, we got Bosha, which is even bigger.
Yeah.
And has a lot of text, a lot of story, a lot of doodads in it. Takes up more time, so they shortened it in. We also got an ultimate there. We also got 2 ultimates in Stormblood, but they had been in the works for a long time. They've been in the works since the middle of Heavensward, so they had a really long time to do those. As well as Endwalker not having Bosha or anything like that, but as Ryuji said, they have had Criterion dungeons, and the mechanics and all they've worked on is of a much higher quality.
Yeah.
This has to do with what Xenos went through about this thing. You have a cup. You only have this much time. You only have this much development and so much space in the game you can do. So for something to go into the cup, something needs to go out of the cup.
Yep. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree, because it's like, would we rather have content spammed and like half-assed content just for the sake of like, having another Eureka, having another Bosha, when they want to work on the new expansion and have like higher quality expansion, like, dungeons, story, ultimates, whatever, right? And obviously it needs to be developed by someone, by some team, right? And someone needs to do it, and they need time. They only have so much time that they can put into the game development. And again, because they have these limitations of, well, it's 2 years roughly, and then we need to we need to have this amount of dungeons done, we need to have this amount of like trials done and Savage and Ultimate, right? And all of that. So it's like, obviously you'd have to take some stuff out to do some new stuff. And if you don't like the new stuff as a consumer, that's totally fine. Like, you have the right to complain about that. But using this as oh, we're getting less dungeons and that's bad, is literally an invalid point. Like, objectively, this is not a good point to make. Because, again, they took out hard dungeons. Why did they do that? What is this is level 50 dungeons are different from level 90 dungeons, right? Or level 60 dungeons are different from level 90 dungeons, right? So, there's a lot happened in this list of dungeons, in the development. A lot happened while these dungeons were being made. And level 90 is different than level 60. Right? So you need to really look at this and think about, why has the number decreased and what could be the reason for that be, right? So it just doesn't make any sense to me to just bring up this list and be like, oh, we get less dungeons, that's bad, so now people are unhappy. No, literally no one cares. I wouldn't even have, if you asked me, like, I know there's a shit ton of dungeons in A Realm Reborn and Heavensward, and I know the hard dungeons suck, and I know they're a thing and they're not a thing later, but if you ask me how many dungeons does Shadowbringers have in comparison to, like, Heavensward, for example, no idea. If you ask me, does Shadowbringers have the same amount of dungeons as Endwalker? No idea. I don't fucking know. Why would I? It doesn't matter. I don't care. Literally, I don't care. If the content is good, if I like the dungeons, and if I, like, you know, if I do them the main story quest, they're cool, and if I like them there, and, you know, they tie into the story nicely, and you know, it's all cool, then what would I care about the amount of dungeons I get? If it doesn't feel, like, dragged, if it doesn't feel, like, forced in any of these, then, you know, what's the point? Huh? He's probably gonna mention it, right? He's totally gonna say that right after we continue the video, right? He's gonna say, oh, but you know, there's a reason for this, right? So let's talk about it, like adults. Who gives a fuck about dungeon? True. Who gives a fuck about this guy says YouTube scrolling? It literally blew my mind. What the hell? That's actually crazy. And I can, like, even search and everything. That's so cool. Can you see that there is no Basha, customer, DSR, or Dalriada from Zatnor in the dungeon list for Shadowbringers? That's true. That is also a good point, Nimi. Very well observed. That is a good point. Technically, those are dungeons, right? Or, like, additional content. And you really have to, like, what, you know, you're literally just looking at the dungeon list. It's like, what content did we actually get? And how high quality was it? Like, what was the quality of it? Because I'd rather take a freaking, like, I don't know, Anamnesis Anador over a Hellbreaker Isle Hard anytime. Any day, anytime. Because these dungeons and their mechanics are so wacky, so, like, wonky, wobbly, and I don't like it, and it's like, it's like it's fancy to have those stupid traps there, like, on the floor, the bear traps, and the tank steps in, and then they have 2 bleeds, and haha, then I can heal them 1 more, and then, haha, that's so funny, what a cute dungeon, like, no thank you, I'm good. Like, I'd take one of the fewer Shadowbringers dungeons anytime, like, you know. Ocean fishing, yes, fishing. Again, Fisher was my first level 90, my first max level class. Yes, so fishing is pretty cool, but I also don't do it anymore, so yeah. I maxed fishing before I could finish Stormlight. Yes. It's so easy to do that with ocean fishing, because ocean fishing is really cool. I really like ocean fishing. I'm waiting for Sakae to fly up the Hindus when he mentions relics. If we're gonna get there, maybe we're gonna get there today.
You said it, not me.
It's okay, it's when you come back, we will still be on the same slide. I can't believe they cut hard dungeons to make something as bad as Ultimate. Yeah, how fucking dare they, man. I want it back. My god. Playing through main story quest, I thought Shadowbringers had plenty of dungeons. While playing through main story quest, I never found half of the Realm Reborn dungeons. Yeah. Twinning music over any Realm Reborn Heavensward dungeon? Absolutely true. 100%. Alright, Ocean pausing.
expansion
Get the fuck out of here.
because you know what Square
If you act up more, I'm gonna give you kisses. And I know you
Enix
hate
does.
that, so.
Instead of investing the increased revenue to grow the game, they
Wait,
only
what
have
are you talking
instead
about? Wait, that
Heavens
needs to
Ward,
be-
we actually got 2 dungeons per patch. We've steadily been getting less dungeons with every expansion because you know what Square Enix does?
What?
Instead of
What did they
investing the
do?
increased revenue to grow the game, they only ever move development to different pieces of content.
What? How do you know that? How do you even know
No,
that?
but here's the thing.
Huh?
Here's the thing. Shame on them for being a company who
Yeah,
wants to
that
keep
as
some
well.
of the revenue.
Right, that as well. But it's like, how does he even know that? Does he like look into their like? Does he know? Is he an employee or something?
A lot of the revenue goes into other games like Final Fantasy 16 and such, but it's like
Yeah, but how
that's
do?
what a company does.
But how does he know how much like potential moving like how does he know they first of all moved people from the team to another game? Second of all, how does he know how many that was? And third of all, how does he know that affected the quality
it hasn't
of it?
affected.
Huh?
It hasn't affected or anything.
Yeah, but like how does he want to know? Like I want to know how he thinks he knows this. How dare they min-max my wallet? It's true. So it's like they're a company with human beings working there. That's crazy, right? Freaking corporates. That's insane. How dare they?
Never increasing the overall amount of content. The mystical question
Yeah, but why would they if they have a good cycle going? But again, this guy's argument is probably that the cycle isn't good. But if they have a good development cycle going, and they know what they need to put in for the next expansion, you know how much in advance you need to plan a fucking game. Like, do you know how long it takes for development of a whole expansion or just a patch, literally? You know how many people it takes? You know how much planning it takes to do this? You know how much an MMO takes to make? Like, it's crazy. And they need to plan so much. They need to plan so long in ahead. Like, it's insane. Like, do you know how this works? Like, even I don't know how this works in detail. I have no idea, but I can only imagine how much insane planning goes into this. From the people working there to like, okay, what do we do with the story? Who writes the story? What do we write into the story? Like, how do we keep a consistent story going for more than 10 years? Because that's been going on, that's still going on. And they said they have story for 10 more years or whatever, right? So they had to plan a story for 20 years in advance. And then they have to put that into the game. And then from the programming to like balancing, to the story writing, to the models, to everything. They have to do everything to making everything work together. You know how much work that is? Of course they'd have a work cycle. Like, what the hell are we talking about?
everybody's had this expansion is...
Okay, this question I've had, apparently, as well. All of you and me, we've all had this.
Endwalker's Eureka and Bozja equivalent.
Okay,
Well,
yeah, I've not asked myself this, but... Go
it's
ahead.
called
the ultimates.
Go ahead. I haven't asked myself this. I've seen people ask this, yes. I've seen people be sad that it wasn't there. I have seen people say, oh, I would have rather had a Bozja or a Eureka. Sure. But I have not asked myself this question. I wasn't missing it. But, okay.
Tyrian Dungeons. No-ish Guardian Restoration equivalent
Okay,
and
what?
Endwalker's Eureka and Bozja equivalent. Well, it's called Criterion Dungeons.
Okay, and what about the ultimates? What about like all the other stuff that we got? What about Island Sanctuary? You'd be surprised, but that actually takes manpower to set up. That is a whole instance. That is a whole system. That is a whole new, we have a bunch of island items. Imagine you have the workshop that needs to work. All the just imagine the programming, right? You need to make the workshop work. You need to make the expeditions work. You need to make the whole system work. The animals, the planting, right, of all the plants. You need to have the houses with the upgrades. You need to make that work. You need to make a whole quest line for it. You need to enable it, like in the game. Right, you need to make it a whole instance that other people can visit, that you can visit other people in, all of this. You need to update it. Where do you think the manpower for this comes from? Where do you think it comes from? I get the comparison of, oh yeah, well, it's not like content that, you know, is similar like in gameplay. Like it's not battle content, obviously. But you've had battle content, so now we're catering to the casuals, right? To the people that want to do Island Sanctuary. Oh, God forbid they're doing that. That's crazy. God forbid they do something for the people that are into that ones. That's insane. How dare they do that? Right? If you don't like it, that's a different issue. But how dare they do this after having all this battle content? How dare they add something that is not battle content for the people that might not enjoy the battle content? You'd almost think that is a smart decision. But how dare they, right? Like, that's crazy to me. Just employ more people? Yeah, programmers and everywhere. Yeah, and don't pay them, because why would they even need payment? Like, they can just work for free, right? Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's not like they have to go out publicly in life, they're asking for programming, exactly that, right? Yeah. Dawn Trail isn't even out yet, and they're already working on 8.0, yeah, exactly that, right? Planned since Warcraft 3, oh no, they place Deep Dungeons and odd-numbered expansions, and they place Bosha Eureka content on paired-numbered expansions. They what? They do? Huh? Island Sanctuaries to me is just a long convoluted side quest for booty shorts. Yeah, and I get that, right? And if you don't like it, that's totally fine, and it's not for everyone, but it wasn't made to be done, you know, it was made to be done by everyone and to be for everyone and to be liked by everyone. Just as ultimates aren't done, you know, ultimates aren't made for everyone, obviously, and I'm sure the people that don't do ultimates and that just like casual content are really happy about Island Sanctuary. What are you gonna do about it, right? It's like, wow, it's almost like they want to cater to different groups at different types at different times in the like development cycle. Also, hi Tessan, hello. Now you're dressed properly. Thank you. I appreciate it. How are you doing, Tessan? This is a toxic stream today, Tessan. I don't know if you want to be. They're too predictable with their content release, but also why no Basha? Oh my god, you're right, yeah. Yeah, that. Oh, we've had two like very similar battle contents previously. Why can't you do it again? Like, why can't you do Basha or Eureka again? Right? And then it's like, oh, but you're too predictable. It's totally, yeah. Yeah. Number 7 POV. Oh, you're looking for POVs. Yes. New guide soon, TM. They placed the deep dungeon and Eureka on the same one. Oh yeah, I don't know if they have any, if you know about any of these, like, plans, cycles, or whatever. I don't know anything about that. Thank you for the hydrate. Alright, let's listen.
No Ishgardian restoration equivalent in Endwalker? Yes, there is. It's called Island Sanctuary. Less
okay.
Dungeons and Stormblood onwards? Well, that's to make way for ultimate raids. You see, despite FF14 exploding in popularity and the cash shop overflowing with overpriced garbage to milk the
Okay, you shut the fuck up about the in-game store. Dude, I would literally not eat a week to buy that stupid fucking garbage. Like, the emote waves, you know how this is the fucking recycled thing? They're just recycled with different colors. Someone just had to go into the 3D model and literally just put a different color into the, like, whatever that is, right? And so you just have that, and it's the same emote and everything. You know what? Literally everyone pays the fucking $5 to get that, because we love that stupid garbage. You shut the fuck up about my garbage, dude.
Player base,
I love my
Square
garbage.
Enix has never added content to the game, only replaced content.
What
And
do
this
you mean? I don't, okay,
formula
no,
is
it's
just
fine.
getting stale. Do I really want to spend $15 a month just to do another 24-man raid?
No, and if you don't, then don't
That is
do it.
exactly
No
like
one is forcing you. Oh my
the ones
god.
that came before. Topic 2. Repetition
No!
breeds-
Why is it topic 2? You literally said so many things without saying anything. Sorry, I know. Now everyone in chat is gonna be like, oh, we're not only skipping, we're also going back on the video. He's going over the points so fast,
Go back,
though.
boys.
We're going back, boys. It all happened so quickly. Like, what the hell? Imagine liking garbage. I know, right? I'm still paying my sub. What the fuck am I even doing? Like, it's not even, we don't even have content. Why am I even here? He says so it was a criticism. I'm so confused.
Criterion Dungeons.
Yeah, it's
no
called
Ishgardian Restoration equivalent in Endwalker.
No,
yes,
yes.
there is. It's called Island Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Less dungeons in Stormblood onwards. Well, that's to make way for ultimate raids.
Yes.
You see, despite FF14.
Okay, so first of all, new ultimates and lesser dungeons doesn't necessarily have to do with another anyway, because it's like, okay, yeah, maybe it's like people that previously worked on dungeons now worked on ultimates, okay? Could be. I don't know, could be. But also, as we have established, as we have talked about just now, the hard dungeons just got removed, and they just did the same amount of dungeons as they did in the previous expansions, just without the hard dungeons, right? And I don't think anyone's gonna miss those. And the dungeons are, in my opinion, good. They fit into the story very well. They're impressive, you know, they're cool dungeons. Of course, if you do them like more than once or twice, obviously people are gonna get fed up with them. That's just how it is. But that's the case for every single dungeon in the game. I'm just like whatever when I get it, right? Some are worse than others, but usually I'm just meh about it. Like, I'm just whatever about a dungeon. It's not exciting content. It is really cool the first time, and then I do it a few times and I'm like, yeah, well, okay, I've seen it now, right? So that's fine. And because that's the same every dungeon, but it's like, okay, so, but then the correlation between ultimates and dungeons isn't necessarily there, because again, maybe they just removed the hard dungeons and that's it. That's all there is to it, right? And then they could put more work into the dungeons that we're getting. So, and then you have the variant dungeons, yeah, so that is battle content that is new, not recycled battle content that is exciting, because it's a new thing, and I thought we wanted that, but apparently we don't. So apparently that's an issue now? Question mark? I don't know. Is this a criticism? I don't even know what he's saying, right? Because he's going over these points so quickly. Is this a criticism? I would assume so. So now it's not good that we got Criterion or variant dungeons? Huh? Like, but that's exactly what you asked for. You asked for more variety. You're bored with the cycle. You're bored getting the same things. So then why are you now bringing up that people are frustrated about not having Basha? You know, like, what? You're contradicting yourself here. Like, huh? And then it's like, yeah, so we have Island Sanctuary now instead of Basha, or instead of whatever, right? Or instead of Ishgardian Restoration. That's a good thing. You know why? Because we had Eureka. We had Ishgardian Restoration. Battle content, chill content. Then we had Basha, battle content, and now we have Island Sanctuary, chill content. You'd think they are cycling through battle content and then chill content to appeal to both of these groups of people. The people that are more into the chill content and the people that are more into, you know, the battle content. And it's a good thing that we have Island Sanctuary the way it is, because would you want another Ishgardian Restoration? With what? Again, another crafter thing. I think it's good that we have a totally different thing where you can have this whole island and these new systems that come with it, instead of just having another Ishgardian Restoration. That just kind of wouldn't work, in my opinion, right? And so it's like, okay, so we're cycling through these things so we can appeal to more people. It's just gonna take a little longer for the specific content, like the battle content, to come back, right? And that makes sense. And I think every reasonable player can acknowledge this and be okay with it. And if you're not happy with Island Sanctuary because you'd rather have had a battle content, then that's okay. And then you don't need to play. And then you can cancel your sub instead of doing Island Sanctuary all day and night, and that is fine. And then you can come back if you are still feeling the game after a while and you get the content that you ask for, and then you can try it again. And then if you like it, that's great. And if you still don't, then, well, you don't like it. Okay. But I'm pretty sure they're doing their utmost to make sure that they're catering to all the groups. The people that like the casual content and the people that like the battle content, right? Where's the cycle specifically catered to him? Yeah, where's the cycle specifically catered to me? Where's the fashion dress up game aspect, huh? When do we get like official glam contests in like and not just the stupid like, you know, the gold saucer thing? Like that's stupid. I want to have like main story locked behind like glam contest progression. You need to have like glams and then you get judged and whatever, and then all of the like, right? It's like, yeah, I would love to have that, but sure.
Exploding in popularity and the cash shop overflowing with overpriced
all right, we have
months
this. Okay.
just to do another 24-man raid that is exactly like the ones that came before it.